tomboy. She learned not to read, but to memorize. When her brother was in the first grade, he'd bring home his books, and he would read them to her. So when she went in the first grade, she knew everything in the book. She didn't know how to read. So she got to the second grade, and they said, "You can't read." So she failed the second grade. Because she had to learn how to read. So she was born in Duquesne, Pennsylvania. Her father was a steel mill worker, and your helper went away. He worked in the steel mill, and since it was during the war, their grandfather decided that it was too dangerous for the children to be down in Duquesne where the steel mill was, so he insisted they move out. So my grandfather, George, his name's George Abner Schmidt, and he continued to work there. Agnes Lynn Schmidt, her mother, went to Linesville with the children. And they were a motley lot, so they were in and out of the house. Grandma didn't care what they did, just let them go. You know? So she graduated from school in Linesville, Pennsylvania, and at the age of 19, she went to work at, when she graduated, she went to work as a babysitter for her and its children. So after that, she went to work for American Viscose Corporation, which makes nylon fabrics. And she had several jobs there, and one of them was tying the strands together so that they would be on a continuous comb. And she wore high-heeled shoes. She worked there for 10 years. While she was there, she met my dad, Dominic, and they dated for several years. And then they decided that they would elope. So on January 9th, 1937, they got in a beat-up old car with no heat, a broken window that had cardboard over the brake, and they got in the back seat of the car. His sister insisted on going along, and they would have gone by themselves, except my dad had a car that had a rumble seat, and there was not room for 4 people, especially in January. So they went to Ripley, New York, which it took them 5 hours total to go up there and back. And Mom had this great big coat, so she and Dad sat in the back seat, and I guess their love kept them warm. Shortly after I was born in 1941, the first child, and shortly after I was born, my dad went into the war. He was a Sea Beam in the Philippines, and while he was gone, Mom moved into the house with her sisters-in-law. And another thing, way back when Mom got married, her parents disapproved because my dad was Italian and he was Catholic. They did not approve of him, so they stopped talking to Mom, and they did not talk to her until after I was born. Finally, my grandfather walked down the street one day and said, "Let me see my grandchild." So that they became reconciled at that time. Mom had continued to work at the American Viscose Corporation for 10 years. When I was 5 years old, in 1947, my baby brother was born after 6 long years. And I had been an only child, essentially, but I loved my little brother. And while Mom was in the hospital, I went to stay with my Aunt Rose, who had twins, and they were just about 6 weeks older than Ralph. So while I was there, I helped change diapers and everything. So I would say, "Let me do it. I'm experienced." I'm a 5-year-old. So Mom said one day she almost had heart failure when I went upstairs and grabbed my baby brother and started bringing him down the stairs. So in I was 5, so it must be 47, 6. They moved to this farmhouse here. And this is their first house. And it was an old farmhouse. It was 100 years old at that time. It had no indoor heat, except for coal stoves. And she had to cook on a coal stove. Had no indoor plumbing at all, so she had to go out to a well, which was in the back 40, with a wheelbarrow and milk cans, and pump the pump, and she had to take a quart of water with her, so she could find that pump, and then she would pump the water and lift them up, and take the wheelbarrow back to the house. So they had a big farm. They always raised pigs and chickens and cows, and they butchered them and put them in the freezer. Dad had a big, big garden, so she did a lot of canning. And the farm that they moved to used to be a market garden, so they had not only flowers, but they had all kinds of fruit trees. They had pears, apple trees, blueberries, elderberries, currants. So Mom would make lots of jam too. In 1989, Dad had macular degeneration, and he was having trouble seeing, and it was cold in the north, and he just wasn't up to living on the farm anymore, plowing all that snow. So since Ralph lived in Florida, they decided to move down to Florida. And this is their first house here at Tiki Village. They came to visit us several times. This picture is Mom with the cat, and the cat always sat on your lap. There's two pictures of her with the cat. There's a picture here of one day Mom decided I should give her a home permanent, and I'm not a beautician at all. I couldn't even get those curlers to stick in, and so Mom was laughing so hard. I had to include this picture because it's so cute. Part of the time she had her face up and her hands up like this, but she was laughing so hard. It's a cute picture. This is Mom and Dad out on their porch, or their lanai as they called it. And then then my dad developed cancer, lung cancer, and he had surgery, and then he was fine for about 5 years, and then he had a relapse, and he passed away in 1997. So this is a picture of Mom looking over Dad's grave. And after Dad passed away, this collage here was, Ralph said, well, Mom doesn't do anything, so we took pictures. This is Mom doing the wash. Mom barbecuing, she's taking out the trash, she's mowing the lawn, she's washing the car, and she's weed eating. And all these were posed pictures. But she was a good sport.
Careless. Mom can't hear.
Mom can't hear.
That's good sometimes.
So this is Mom. She came to Hampton. And she has her little hat on, and what you can't see is we had a guy, we went to a restaurant where the waiters wore kilts, and the waiters was over here, we cut him off. This Mom came to visit us, and this was in 2011, and it was Mom's 70th or 95th anniversary, Ken's 70th birthday, and our 45th anniversary. So we celebrated, we had a party, you know, anything for a party. And this is Ralph and Peg's wedding day. And here's Mom. We went up to see her, my cousin Nelda, and my friend does some collages on the computer until she made this for me. So, and there we are. Mom moved into the Cove in 2010. I can't, okay, we got it on video. Mom moved into the Cove in 2010, and she's been there since. They sold a trailer in 1997 or 2000 or something. And she moved in with Ralph and Peg for a while, and then she moved into the Cove. So she's been here since 2010. So we thank you all for coming out. I don't know if you all know each other. I can tell you this is Lee Moran, and this is Al, her husband. These are old friends. Ada, I introduced before. This is Frank, and I'm going to mess up your name again. I always call him Morales, but it's not right. Morales, okay, I got it right this time. I wanted to call him Miranda, it's your name. And this is Virginia Proctor. They live next door to Mom, and she lives in the trailer. And this is Alex Sawyer. Alex is a friend of Jim Pauls, who's a friend of Ken's and mine. And so we came down here, and Alex and his wife Nancy met us for dinner one night. And we've met a couple of times, so they've become good friends too. And this is Jim Pauls. Jim and Marabella are our special friends from Hampton, and Mom's the only one allowed to call him Jimmy.
My mom's dead, so she can do it.
So she's kind of become a mom to them. And this is May Hall, and she's a friend of Nelda's. And Nelda is my very best cousin, my favorite girl cousin.
Your only girl.
You are.
Attaboy, kid. Wait, bring it out.
Actually, I'm her only girl cousin. But we've gone up to D.C. to visit her a couple of times, and Faye lives down on the floor below that. Nelda and they are traveling buddies, and they've been all over the place. That too. But traveling buddies. Marlene, and this is Marlene Allen and Tom Allen, and they went to, Tom went to school with my brother.
School, the Marine Corps, over to work on the railroad.
So they've been longtime friends, and this is Ralph's wife Peg, and this is Mary Ann Farkas. Not Farkas.
Yeah, this one.
Farkas, yes. Okay, and Mary Ann is a friend of Peg's. And Ralph. And Ralph. This is Adam, not here with us. Stepien. And he's a friend of Caitlin. And Caitlin is Ralph's granddaughter. And this is my baby brother. This is my son Brian. And that's my son Craig, and my wonderful husband Ken, who's helped me immensely. And of course, my mother. Thank you. Thank you. We hope you got enough to eat.
Yeah.